Okay, so welcome back to another episode. Today's episode is a special one since Chris is on his vacation. He's taking his 15 minutes trying to do the year of magical learning. And so thank you, Chris. Today's book is book 19. And let me share my screen real quick.
We are coming to you live from Hawaii.
So the book is option B. Okay, Chris, take it away.
Yeah, so this is all about building the compound effect of life and doing to live your values every single day. This is important for us to take this 15 minutes to be able to connect together and talk about these things, even when we're on vacation. This doesn't feel like work to me. It feels like fun to me. So I always look forward to these things. Taking a nice, beautiful walk out in Hawaii, beach down the street up on the North Shore of today about the book number 19. It's called Option B by Sheryl Sandberg, and also co-written by one of my favorite authors we've already met before. His name's Adam Grant. So this book is actually kind of a bit of a special book for me, and one that was really hard for me to read, to be honest with you. About 2 months or so after we lost Emilia, I was over at my parents' house, and this was during the middle of the height of the pandemic when everything was on lockdown and all that stuff. And so I hadn't really seen my family very often. And my sister lives in another country, or at least she did at that time. So she happened to be in town and we were catching up, and she was talking about how things were going after dealing with all that we had been dealing with after losing Emilia. And I told her a little bit about my atomic bomb theory, which is what I wrote about. And I can't imagine when your whole life gets blown up and you are staring at the rubble of your life, what do you kind of do going forward? And I was in the early stages of formulating my just general thoughts around that whole entire concept and thinking through it in my own mind. And as I was talking through it, she stopped me and she says, "Hey, Chris, do you know who Sheryl Sandberg is?" And I go, "Yeah, I've heard of Sheryl Sandberg. She's the COO at Facebook." She goes, "I don't know if you're like this. I know you read a lot. Maybe you want to check out this book. It's called Option B. It's very similar sounding to what you're talking about." And I was like, "Cool, I appreciate it, Chris. And thanks for the recommendation." You know, I was actually actively trying to stay away from any and all books about like pain and grief and suffering and trauma and tragedy and things like that at that time in my life. And it was, I don't know, it was just too hard to read after losing Emilia. I didn't really need to think through what somebody else went through and process their tragedies and stuff. So I really wasn't going to honestly read this book. And then a day later, 2 days later, a shipment from Amazon shows up in my house, and it's this book. And my sister just went ahead and sent it to me. And I was like, okay, fine. You know, she's going to send it. I'll give 15 minutes and 30 minutes or something like that, and started reading the book. And, you know, I got about 30 pages in and I was like, man, this is really interesting. It felt very similar to my own story. Sheryl Sandberg actually lost her husband, who was the former CEO at SurveyMonkey. She was the COO at Facebook, and her husband died tragically while they were on a vacation in Mexico. He went to the exercise room at their hotel and just had a heart attack and died. And the whole book's about, you know, her life after that and how just trying to figure out how to put the pieces back together. She had her own atomic bomb event, basically, and that was why my sister was recommending it. So the story is a good part mix of a personal story, plus they mix in a lot of like ways to build resilience and how to bounce forward and post-traumatic growth and things like that. A lot of the concepts to talk about in the book, and it really struck a chord, honestly. Even though I started that book the day after my sister sent it, I really only read the first 30 pages, and I was like, I still can't do this yet. So it took me another about 6 months before I picked it back up again, and then I read it all in one big slew. Just myself to keep going down the road, you know. And
Yeah, we can hear you right now.
Okay, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there's a lot of wind though.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go down to the neighborhood street here so we get away from some of the wind. So can you hear me better now?
A little bit better.
Okay, so as I finished this book, though, I learned a really cool lesson in it. It was called the Platinum Rule, which I never heard of it before, and it was something that kind of blew my mind a little bit. Obviously, we've all heard about the Golden Rule before, which is, you know, treat others the way that you want to be treated. Well, the Platinum Rule kind of flips it on its head a little bit, and it's treat others the way that they want to be treated. And that really resonated with me a ton, going through what I was going through. And, you know, like when you experience grief and tragedy and all that other stuff that goes with it, honestly, like people just don't understand, and they golden rule you a little bit. You know, they want to be there for you, they want to try to support you, and they want to try to, you know, be as supportive as they possibly can in general. But a lot of times they end up using the golden rule, which is, you know, it's the thought that counts, right? Like, I mean, I don't want to ever like discount anybody's
maybe
right, but learning this concept of the Platinum Rule through Sheryl's book really opened my eyes a lot to how bad that I've been my entire life at around my own friends processing their own grief and tragedy and pain and trauma and golden ruling them, and just me going through this whole entire experience, just trying to treat people more like their unique individual selves that they are, and making sure that you don't, to give them that personal reflection or that personal attention that they need in the most trying times of their life. And I think that's just an incredibly profound and important way to view this world. And I strive these days to really try to use the platinum rule on everything, honestly, as much as I possibly can. It's just a better way to live your life, I think, and in a way to interact with others. But yeah, I really learned that book from Sheryl's book in Option B, and it's had a pretty profound effect on my life.
Some ways that you can apply the platinum rule in your own life. So for me, before I answer the question, I did not hear of the platinum rule until you told me about it. I heard it from you. Based on the concept of platinum rule, it's something that I have used. I just don't know the name of it. For me, the thought is that it's not about, you trying to do, because for me, I have 4 daughters. For me, it's like, I don't want to try to do something because I think it's something that I want them, it's good for them, right? From my perspective. And because for me, I have a different experience and different past. What is good for me may not be good for them. So I'm thinking that what I want for them isn't necessarily good for them. And so for me, I always think about, okay, from their perspective, what is good for them versus what I think is good for them from my perspective. And so for me, I always look at that just because I feel the same way. People have good intentions, but it turned out to be bad advice for the most part. And so I've learned that while growing up, and I'm using this rule. And, now that you put it a name to it, I think it makes sense because it's about, for my kids, they live in a different generations. There's different things and, different friends and different behaviors and concept has changed. So I have to give them what they think is value versus what I think is valuable. And so I think, having a platinum rule, it makes a lot of sense. And having a name to it, it feels good just because, I've used this concept before. I just don't know that that's called platinum. So this is a good learning experience. And I think, we need both the golden rule and the platinum rule, but platinum rule applies when you're dealing with people. The golden rule and the silver rule, there's another rule that I've discovered. It's called the silver rule. So I can tell you about the silver rule and other books, but I think golden rule, it's kind of in general because a lot of time, when
it's a good foundational society. Like, don't kill each other. Don't hurt each other. Treat each other. You know what I mean? Basic foundational level stuff. Platinum rule is just another level above that. Personalizing the experience to each unique individual. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of what we're trying to do with Clubity. It's don't just give everybody a flat core values of a company or something like that and say, hey, we should all treat each other this way because this is the way that I want to be treated and Trieu wants to be treated. I want to learn about your individual values and what's your why and your mission and what's important to your life. And then, we can treat you the way that you want to be treated, but also in a shared environment where the golden rule is the foundational elements of what we're trying to do. Well, that's the concrete, that's the building blocks, right? But we want to elevate it to another level of applying unique how people care about their own lives and that's the power of the platinum rule in my personal opinion. It makes it personal.
It really applies just because for me, for example, I like honest and forward feedback. I mean, you need to tell me something that I'm doing wrong. I don't want you to sugarcoat, but some people do. So you have to, for you to talk to me, you have to say, well, what does Trieu wants in this case? He wants honest feedback. Other people, they want,
they want to lie. Yeah, lie to
them. They want you to tell them what they want to hear, right? And so it doesn't benefit me to sugarcoat when you give me feedback. And so you have to treat each one as an individual, even though you have the golden rule where you use that as a basis for dealing with people in society, but then you have to go the extra step and figure out, okay, what does that other person value? And then use that value to provide the value to them from their perspective. Because if you give me something sugarcoat, it's not valuable to me. If you give me something honest, because that's the way that I'm built, I take that and I improve on myself, and that's valuable to me. And so you have to give people what they value, not what you think they value.
Exactly.
Or what you value.
I mean, I love the platinum rule. I mean, it's something I can't believe I don't know why religions don't teach that, you know, like, but
maybe religion has a different agenda.
That's true.
Because religion, I don't think they want you to have an individual mind, because it's harder to be the same if you have different individual values, right? That's why they want you to have the same values as everybody else.
Yep, 100%. Well, final quick thought before we sign off here for the day. Going back to the alchemist, and make sure that you are carrying the spoon of life. The oil. Don't drop the oil, but also make sure you're looking at the beauty of the castle, kind of thing. Like, It's really fun talking to you while I'm looking out at beautiful mountains on the North Shore of Oahu and windmills and amazing sunshine. And it's one of those things where it's a good reminder of, like, I went on a run this morning, and it was just, there's an amazing beach that's just a half a mile away or something like that. I don't know if you've ever been to the North Shore of Oahu before, but it's like amazing beach after amazing beach the entire time. It's just unreal here. But anyway, it just reminds me of the whole, when I was running this morning and when I'm doing this, keep the
oil, but also
don't forget about beauty.
Don't forget about the majestic of your environment.
Yeah. Right. Do the work, enjoy the world around you, you know? So it's fun that we're doing this. We're still doing the work, but at the same time, enjoying the world around us. I just want to say thanks for hopping on here, being flexible, and yeah, looking forward to hopefully trying to find time to do this every single day that I'm out. Any other final thoughts?
Well, we see you next time then.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.